Hi, everyone. It is me, Sailor Moon, Serena here. It is me, Molly here. And today we're going to talk about, you know, something that will come up soon this month. So, as we all know, you know, back on the 21st of this month, it will be, it's going to be the year day that we were done with, Google Hangout. Now, anyway, on to the film that we were going to talk about. So, today we're going to talk about, we're going to talk about why hasn't Deke Sailor Moon ever been put on to DVD or HD DVD or whatever. And what I come up with is that it was just, a lot of folks say that it's just not playable. That the disses or whatever, the film or the disses that Toei, that Disney had when they owned Sailor Moon, and then when they sold Deke off, and how Deke did not really take good care of the disses or the films or whatever it happened to be at that time, and then when it went to Cookie Jar or Cookie Can, and then to DMX over to WILDBRAIN, it was just so bad shape that it was ungalldable and unincomable, and that no one really wanted to have a broadcast right or a streaming right with it. Now, a lot of folks will also say that it has to do with Deke Sailor Moon being skimmed, as if that would be against why it couldn't be broadcast or streamed. That a lot of folks would be irked or angered over names being shifted, or street names or strike names or near names being shifted, or some of the sagas, the following one being skipped over, or things like Zoisite being a woman, or the Sailor Fighters being kidnapped or taken instead of being slain by the Dark Kingdom, or two sagas becoming one. Now, I think a lot of folks would have to keep in mind that Deke Sailor Moon was a crafting of its time, and that all the shifts and cleanings and skimming that was done to it during that time was that's how drawing shows were handled at that time, and for some way I think they're still in some way. And some folks say that's why it can't be put on DVD. I think it could still be put on DVD. I think that it could still be sold. Now, I know if they ever did free out Deke Sailor Moon, and there was only two followings of it, I would get it. Because you know how hard it is to seek Deke Sailor Moon, or any take of Sailor Moon, if it's not Viz of Sailor Moon, that is. You got me to say about it's true. Now, I know a lot of folks out there will say, oh, well, they can't, they don't want to get a broadcast deal or a streaming deal with it because, the drawings are all bad, and, Deke Lee didn't take good care of it when they had ownership over it from 20.0 YL to 20.08 YL. And maybe that's true. Maybe Deke didn't take good care of the films or the disses or whatever it was, and it's just so bad that they can't do anything with it. Now, I know a lot of folks might say that Deke Sailor Moon is somewhere, no one really seems to know who owns it. I would like to think that the disses or the films that were formerly owned by Toei, which was owned by Disney at the time they owned Deke, which was owned by Deke when Disney sold Deke off, which got owned by Cookie Jar or Cookie Can which got owned by DMX, which is now owned by WILDBRAIN. Now, a lot of folks, what do you think why Deke Sailor Moon, or should we call it WILDBRAIN Sailor Moon, doesn't put it on disc? You know Sailor Moon, you know Serena. I don't know why Deke Sailor Moon, or should we call it WILDBRAIN Sailor Moon now, did not get put on disc. I think that, yeah, it might be due to many things. Due to the shifting and the skimming and cleaning that was done to it. I don't know if folks would be angered or irked over names being shifted, or strike names or street names or near names being shifted. I don't know if that would anger them that some sagas were skipped over. I guess they would have to be a little open-minded about Zoisite being a woman in Deke's world. And as far as, two sagas becoming one, or being kidnapped by the Dark Kingdom instead of being slain, I don't know if any of that would really go against any broadcast or streaming rights. I think at the end of the day, it has to be the shape that it's in, because some folks have said that Deke did not really take good care of the films or the discs, because I think that if it was still, I think that any other business would have done it. Now, and yes, it was most likely on film. It probably got put on disc. Or maybe it didn't get put on disc. I don't know. All we know is that some folks said that once it went from Toei to Disney, and once Disney sold it sold Deke off, that everything owned by Deke was just not. I mean, that's not true, because there still are a lot of WILDBRAIN things that are, took good care of. And there are a lot of old Deke drawing shows or drawing films out there that still have broadcasts, or at least have streaming rights. And I think that maybe Deke didn't take good care of the Sailor Moon that they made. They fostered and borrowed from the films that Toei let them have from 9 between 95 YL till 9 between 99 YL, when they had to give those films back. But they kept their own films. Now, I think it has to do to them, didn't keep it good, that Deke Sailor Moon, Toei, formerly Disney Sailor Moon, formerly Deke Sailor Moon, formerly Cookie Chan Sailor Moon, formerly DMX Sailor Moon, WILDBRAIN Sailor Moon didn't take good care of it. So, at the end of the day, I think it is what it is. But I don't know. That's just a guess that someone on the interweb, someone came up with. But I would like to think that Deke Sailor Moon would be good. Yes, there might be some folks in the Sailor Moon followership that would be irked or angered over it and would be against the disc set. But we wouldn't. You're right, Molly. At the end of the day, I like to think that the Sailor Moon followership, those who like the Deke Sailor Moon, would be happy with getting it on disc. And the others who hate Deke Sailor Moon would not be happy with it. But I would be happy with getting my Deke take, or should I call it WILDBRAIN's take now, on disc. 2 disc set, Sailor Moon and Sailor Moon R. Now, I know they can't get the rights to the free films and put it on those discs due to the free films, due to that being Pioneer or Pathseeker Glee's Sailor Moon. But at least you have the first 2 followings that Deke did. And I don't know how much HDing it would help it. Well, I don't know how much a disc would help the way that it's yeared it over, that it's old, that it's grown over the year, or yeared it over the years. But I wish that Deke Sailor Moon was on disc. Now, at the end of the day, I like to share, playlist, you know, and give this film a like, and I'll see you later.